Scenic Hotel Group, a place to stay no matter your staycation. From the Legacy Collection for those special occasions to Heartland Hotels with room for the whole whānau. Find your place to stay at scenichotelgroup.co.nz.
We head across the Tasman as we do about 20-ish to 2 every Saturday afternoon. Adam Peacock joins us from Code Sports. You can find all his writing and writing of many others on that website to discuss all things Australian sport. Adam, thanks as always for your time here on News Talk ZB.
Afternoon, how are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. Look, the World Club Challenge later on tonight, Penrith and St Helens. Has this gripped the public attention over in Australia, with under 2 weeks to go until the NRL kicks off proper?
Yeah, it hasn't. Oh, look, it's not like people are stopping each other in the street to talk about it. And what do you think of St Helens centres or anything like that? But it's more a case of a general feeling amongst footy fans, NRL fans, that we love having it back. Like the trials have been on. Warriors have participated, or will this weekend, did last weekend. And this is the kind of the main. It's not even a trial because they're actually playing for a trophy, but I want to point out, because they're actually playing, if you want to have home conditions, and you want to talk about that, and we'll get to that a bit in the cricket later on with India and their turning decks, Penrith is in the west of Sydney, like as far away in Sydney from the coast as you can get. It might be about 38 degrees come near kickoff, which I would have thought for a bunch of Englishmen coming out of a February winter isn't exactly ideal conditions. So hopefully St Helens don't melt. Penrith heavily favoured, and they're not only heavily favoured to win that, but they're big favourites to win 3 NRL competitions in a row.
Yeah, they sure are. Look, I think I saw during the week that the St Helens coach say something like, "Oh, we don't live in an igloo," but even for the Penrith boys, that's got to be pretty testing, the old 30-plus weather conditions. Yeah,
look, by the time they get on, the sun will be falling out of the sky, if not already gone, so it's not going to be rancidly hot. But yeah, it can't be comfortable playing a anaerobically high sport like rugby league, the up and back, and then you chuck in the contact as well. It's not ideal, but yeah, they'll look after the players. They'll have the necessary drinks breaks and ice towels and everything like that, so it won't be ridiculous, but yeah, pretty uncomfortable, I would imagine. I
don't know about you, Adam, but I always like this World Club Challenge, crossing hemispheres. There's been talk about it in rugby. Obviously, the Club World Cup and FIFA's not been so long ago, but I do like having these club sides face off against each other, even if for the NRL season they're in the midst of their pre-season and it's not quite level playing field, I suppose, but I quite like the concept overall.
Yeah, especially when the international game isn't quite at the standard of certainly rugby union or football, that it's good to have that, I don't know, curiosity factor, I guess, to say, which team is the best in the world. Like NRL usually dominate. Very few times that NRL teams, they used to have it in England all the time. Very few times did they go over there and lose, but on the odd occasion they did. I'd actually like to see it in rugby, like the Heineken Cup winner play against the Super Rugby winner or something like that. I don't think it's possible with the international calendar the way it is, but that would add another layer of intrigue, because European clubs in particular in rugby, as you know, are very, very powerful. Yeah, they are. Look,
they keep talking about it, but I think it's one of those things, they're flying a kite and will never actually probably get across the finishing stripe. Speaking of getting across the stripe tonight, Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City playing. We all know what happened last time. I think it was called the darkest day in A-League history when they had that pitch invasion. What was it, December? What's the feeling around this one? Is it going to be safe? Is it going to be free of spite?
Yeah. From the stands, unfortunately for every action, and as horrible as that action was on December 17, there's a reaction, and in A-League football there's not only a reaction but an over-the-top one. And look, I think the fans, especially the Melbourne Victory end tonight, are going to walk into a situation where it's going to be like it's like the United Nations has come into peacekeep. There's going to be authority everywhere. So unfortunately that's the way it is, and the way they're going to cover it. And like there's tarps all through the Melbourne Victory home end, with splitting fans every third row, it seems. So in my regard, it's over the top for a bunch of idiots who thankfully will never come back to an A-League game. But the game itself, I think Melbourne City win it. Melbourne Victory are a club underperforming like you wouldn't believe this season. But of course, it's not going to be about that tonight. It's going to be about whether everyone behaves themselves, which I'm almost certain they will.
It's quite remarkable to have all the attention on what's going to happen in the stands, isn't it? Hopefully nothing, but all the eyes will be on that, perhaps at least up until we get kick-off and maybe during the game as well, rather than the Melbourne derby, which always has a bit of extra to it.
Should never be that way, ever. And that's the fallout from a bunch of idiots running on the pitch. It's not about them, but they made it about them. So unfortunately, the next one's about them, or the possibility of it happening again. I could use some stronger language, but I probably wouldn't get away with it in these daylight hours on radio over there.
Yeah, suspect you wouldn't, and I guess that with the victory as well, they'll be desperate because they're bottom of the ladder, but they've still got that spectre of a 10-point deduction possibly hanging over them for what at least I think the next 3 seasons that the A-League's threatened. So they need their fans, need their players, etc., to be on their best behaviour for quite a long time.
Yeah, it's almost ridiculous to think that they have to be on their best behaviour. Like, it's pretty simple. Just don't jump the fence. It's not that difficult. But for some people who are obviously brought up or have gone through life and somehow got to an age where they can put one foot in front of the other but come up with a decision like that, it just doesn't equate for me.
Yeah. Absolute clowns. Right, let's move on to our final topic. It is Australia and India. The first test ended comfortably India's way. The second one underway. Australia 263, India 21 without loss at the close. Couple of changes for the Aussies as well. A bit of an eye-browsing one. Kuhnemann, who I think has not played a lot of first-class cricket, being whistled in for this one.
I think it was 13 first-class games, and he missed the touring party to start with. Mitchell Swepson goes over, Ashton Agar goes over, Todd Murphy took 7 for in the first test, and Nathan Lyon, they play. But Agar, I don't know what's happened to him, if he's lost his arm or something like that over there. I don't know, because he played the Sydney test and all of a sudden he's not wanted. Mitch Swepson went over there, but then came home after the first test because his wife is due for a baby, which to me is a bit weird because it's not like something like that's a surprise. So they call up Matt Kuhnemann out of nowhere, and he goes over. He ends up not only playing but opening the bowling when Australia close out day one with a couple of overs. It's an incredible rise, and this guy, he's known as more a white ball specialist because he can really skid the ball through and dart the ball. He's a quality bowler and can bowl really tight. He was unfortunate not to pick up a wicket on day one, but he's come out of nowhere, and can he be our next version of Todd Murphy after Murphy did what he did in the first test? He was the only shining light for Australia who got absolutely belted in that first test. Yeah,
I've read a wee bit of the reaction to that first test, and I think people are up in arms and furious with the way Australia, played and were routinely dismissed a week ago and when they buckled in that evening session, our time watching it at least. What's been the reaction back across the Tasman to that? Because playing in India is bloody tough, and India can manipulate the conditions to their whims, really.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a pile-on, But that just shows, everyone cares so deeply about the Australian cricket team. Everyone's got an opinion. So it's a bit like you guys with your All Blacks. When something goes wrong, it's not as if everyone keeps their thoughts to themselves, do they? So,
no.
it was... And it was coupled with not only the fact we went over there late, didn't play a practice game, but also there was some controversial selection decisions, i.e. leaving out Travis Head. Look, Australia went over there, and to go over there, you've got to be at your top, you've got to prepare well, and you've got to have your best players available. And arguably we had 2 of our guys who would start not available, Mitchell Starc and also Cam Green, who haven't come up for this test as well. So already you're kind of chasing yourself. And look, India played very, very well. Australia just couldn't handle the conditions with the bat, and they got to turn it around. A lot more aggressive with the bat, Australia, in their first innings. So that was a mindset change. Travis Head comes back in. So they are trying things to mix it up and putting in Kuhnemann and playing 3 spinners for the first time in I don't know how long. But, they are trying things to claw it back. It won't be easy, though, because India is so comfortable on that deck.
Final question, Adam Peacock. What's becoming of David Warner? He got that 200 on the Boxing Day test, but he's battling over in India. I think he's, 10-1, 10-15 in his last 4 innings. That 200 is a bit of an outlier. Are there worries that we may be seeing the end of David Warner in a test cap?
Well, it's looking that way, and as much as I don't want it to happen, because I love watching the guy play, and I know a lot of people from a lot of cricket-loving nations have the exact opposite view of David Warner, but who cares? This is our view, or my view anyway, but he's great to watch when he's firing and when he's seeing the ball well. He just looks unsure of himself. He's kind of playing, he's almost muted out there. He's a totally different David Warner to the attacking maestro that we've come to know at the top of the order. And look, not only this India series, but playing in England, where last series in 2019 he was all over the shop. He just couldn't handle the new ball. It doesn't read well. It's not trending in the right direction for David Warner. So how a champion pulls something out of the fire, I'm not sure. It's happened before, but at the moment, I can't really see it, and I hope I'm totally wrong.
It's going to be a fascinating one to watch develop. Adam Peacock, thank you for your time, as always, out of Code Sports across the Tasman. Look forward to catching up again in a week's time.
Sounds good. Have a good one, mate.
That is Adam Peacock from Code Sport, joining us out of Australia with all things Australian sport. Yeah, David Warner, that 200 that he got in the Boxing Day test, bit of an outlier now. Again, 15 he was dismissed for yesterday. They're shaping for some tough decisions, the Aussie cricketers, very shortly over how David Warner, whether he's retained or whether he gets the heave-ho.
Hello, I'm Francesca Rudkin.
And I'm Louise Erie, and we're excited to be working with the New Zealand Herald on our new podcast, The Little Things.
So Louise and I have been friends for probably over 13 years now, and we've been through it all: kids, relationships, health crises,
menopause.
Let's not get into that just yet.
But I think we can both agree that there are times we just wish we had one place to go for some explanations on what's going on with our bodies, our kids, and the relationships in our lives.
And this podcast is all about those little things that women need to know about getting older, raising kids, staying healthy, and taking care of yourself at whatever age and stage you're at.
So join us every Saturday to hear from the experts and get all the advice and tips you need.
Listen to The Little Things at nzherald.co.nz or follow us at iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.